One of the biggest tools you can use to skyrocket your email open rates, click rates and conversions is a little thing called A/B testing. But here's the deal, not everything is worth testing, and if you test the wrong things, you'll likely waste time and lose money. So stick around because I'm going to show you exactly what you should be testing to drive real results. Hey there, if you didn't know, my name's Luke. I'm an email marketing expert and I help D2C brands get the absolute most out of their email marketing. And today's video is all about A/B testing, one of the most powerful tools in your email marketing toolkit. We'll deep dive into how to A/B test effectively so you're not wasting time in irrelevant tests, and most importantly, how you can make more money with better email marketing. So let's start with a quick explanation of what A/B testing actually is. So imagine you just sent out an email and it totally flopped, low opens, low clicks and no conversions, and you're left wondering, should I have used a different subject line or should I have switched up my call to action? And that's where A/B testing comes in. It lets you test small control changes like subject lines or email layouts to figure out what performs better. And the beauty is you're sending the same email to the same type of audience but tweaking just one element to see which version gets better results. You're essentially letting your audience vote with their clicks, and the results tell you what works. But here's the kicker, you don't want to test everything at once, but more on that to come. Now before we dive into what you should be testing, let's talk about what you shouldn't waste your time on. And one of the biggest mistakes I see brands make is testing too many things at once, or testing things that barely move the needle. For example, testing the color of your call to action button. This might seem like a good fun test, but in most cases it won't have a huge impact on your results. Instead, focus on more meaningful elements like the call to action wording itself. For example, don't just test save now versus get my discount. Try something that resonates more with your audience's mindset, like claim my 15% off. It's about the action and the emotion tied to that action. Alright, now that we know what not to test, let's talk about what you should be testing. And these are the tests that are going to make a real impact and drive more revenue. We're talking about tests in your sign-up forms, your flows, and your campaigns that can really move the needle. Whether it's testing different subject lines, variations in offer presentation, or even testing send times, these are the best tests that help you squeeze more value out of every email you send. So let's move over to my screen and I'll show you the most effective A/B tests you should be running to ensure you're driving efficient revenue from your email marketing. Okay, so the key areas you want to be testing in your email account are your flows, your campaigns, and your sign-up forms. But before diving into what to test, let's quickly cover the importance of statistical significance. This ensures your test results are reliable and not just random fluctuations. So what you want to be doing is you want to use Klaviyo's AI, and Klaviyo has built-in AI to help analyze A/B tests, especially for subject lines, sign-up forms, and your content. And it's going to notify you when your test has enough data to declare a winner. So you want to aim for at least 1,000 sends or views. So for emails, aim for at least 1,000 sends per variant. But for sign-up forms, aim for at least 1,000 views per variant to ensure meaningful results. And as I said, you only want to be testing one thing at a time. So always focus on testing a single element like a subject line or a call to action, whereas testing multiple things at once can make it really unclear which change actually drove the result. So with these principles, you'll gather actionable data to optimize your email strategy effectively. Now let's move on to flows and how to prioritize testing there. So the most important aspect of your email account that you want to be testing at any given time are your flows. So A/B testing in your flows takes priority over A/B testing in your campaigns because you want to make sure your flows are super optimized at all times. So provided you have a decent setup across the core aspects of your flows and they're driving adequate conversions, the testing process is actually quite simple here. The primary elements worth testing, and in order of importance, are your offers, your timing, subject lines, and email content. So first of all, what you want to be testing at all times are your offers. So what you want to do is discover what type of incentive resonates best with your audience to maximize conversions. Your offer is the most impactful element in your flow, so you should be testing different types to find what drives conversions for your brand. So do your customers like percentage off, dollars off, or free gifts? And this will largely depend on your brand and your niche. Very often, percentage off will win in a test because it's really easy to conceptualize for the customers and they're used to seeing percentage off from other brands and likely your brand, they can really see that offer clearly and what they're going to get from it. So how to actually test offers. So start with a control offer. So for example, 10% off, and test it against a new offer. So for example, a free shipping or free gift with purchase in your flows. But you don't always have to run direct tests. Sometimes you can actually introduce a different offer in the following email. So if the customer didn't convert on 10% off in the first email, you can try offering free shipping in the second email to see if that will get them over the line. So test offers throughout your flows to find the optimal combination that maximizes revenue without sacrificing your margin. The second most important thing you want to be testing in your flows is your timing. So the goal of timing is to test to find what the optimal send time is that maximizes engagement and conversions. It's about figuring out when your audience is most likely to open, click, and ultimately convert from your emails. And what we found across the board with our pre-purchase flows is that condensing the sending period has worked very, very well with our clients. So try sending the first email rapidly and experiment with subsequent emails at shorter intervals. Use conditional splits to create more aggressive follow-ups in abandonment flows. And by adjusting timing, you can discover the perfect window when your subscribers are most responsive, leading to higher conversion rates. The next most important thing to be testing in your flows are your subject lines. So the key here is whatever you test must be different enough to achieve statistical significance. So if you're testing things that are too similar, you're not going to achieve statistical significance and the test wasn't really worthwhile. So what you want to be testing here are short subject lines versus long subject lines, formal versus informal, personalized versus not personalized. And that's basically it with subject lines. To cut this short for you, we found that informal normally outperforms formal, short outperforms long, and personalized outperforms not personalized. And the last thing you really want to be testing in your flows is your email content. So similarly to your subject lines, what you test here must be different enough to have statistical significance be likely. So what you want to test here are long emails versus short emails, highly designed versus basic designs, direct response versus branding style of copywriting. And once again, to shortcut this for you, we find a mix of long and short is best. More basic design usually outperforms highly designed emails, and a mix of direct response and branded is best. But this varies heavily depending on your brand and niche. But what I can't emphasize enough is what's prettiest isn't always what converts best. So test everything. Bear this in mind when you're testing. Don't be overly picky about your design. Get it out there and see what actually works. So outside of your flows, you can also be testing in your campaigns. So your campaigns are somewhat different from flows in that you want to find trends, not necessarily the individual winners. So what do I mean by trends? Well, first of all, you can be testing your send times. So remember our concept of testing drastically different things to achieve statistical significance. Well, in the beginning, what we recommend is testing really drastic send times. So test early morning versus late evening and see which time of the day generally works best with your customers. Then once you find a certain area of the day that works best, then you can refine that into what time within that area of the day actually works. So let's say it's the evening that your customers prefer sending emails, then we can test 5 p.m. versus 7 p.m. signs to see what really generates sales and gets people to open their emails and click through. So what do I mean by trends? Well, first of all, you could be testing your send times to find the general time that works best for sending campaigns. So remember our concept of testing drastically different things to achieve statistical significance. Well, to begin with, you're just starting testing your send times, your campaigns. You want to be testing drastically different times of the day to see what actually works. So what you might start with would be early morning sends versus a really late evening send to see, right, do my customers open my emails in the morning or do they prefer to open their emails when sent in the evening? So let's say we find a winner and it's in the evening that my customers prefer to open our emails. Then what we can do is refine that to see, right, what is the exact time that we can be sending our campaigns regularly to really drive home conversions. So we could be testing 5 p.m. versus 7 p.m. to see, right, what time of the evening works best for customers to actually open and then convert. As well as this, we can be looking to find trends with our subject lines. So trying to find out whether our customers prefer formal versus informal, short versus long, emoji versus no emojis. We can also be testing to generally find out what our customers prefer in terms of our copy. So is it direct, indirect, short versus long, character versus no character, generally test these things to find out what your customer prefers and how they prefer. So with campaigns, you also want to be testing to get a rough idea of the right amount of volume you're sending with your campaigns. So what we always recommend is gradually tier this up. So if you have an engaged list of over 15k, then what we recommend is at least 2 emails per week. And note the following and keep these ranges in mind. So with open rates, you want to be achieving at least 35%. Click rates, you want to be achieving at least 0.5%. And unsubscribe rates, you want to be hitting a maximum of 0.2%. And if you're within those ranges, then you're probably at the right amount of volume, and you could be testing actually sending more emails to see if that actually has an impact on those ranges. So my recommendation for testing in your campaigns is to focus on finding broad trends that impact long-term performance. Start with big swings like early versus late send times, and refine as you gather more data. Over time, this will help you optimize campaigns for consistent results rather than just focusing on individual wins. As I said, you also want to be testing your sign-up forms in your email account. The test for sign-up forms follow a similar pattern to the most important test for flows actually, so this will be quite straightforward. So there's really one primary thing you want to be testing with your sign-up forms and 2 secondary things you need to test with your sign-up forms as well. So primarily you want to be testing your offers, and secondary, you want to be testing your timing and design. So the most important area to be testing with your sign-up forms is your offer. So provided timing and design aren't completely botched, the offer is often the biggest determinant of your sign-up form success. It's essential that this feels relevant and valuable to your audience. If the offer doesn't resonate, no amount of fancy design or timing will save it. So in your sign-up form, it's crucial you're testing your offers, and what you can be testing is percentage off, dollars off, free gift with purchase, enter a giveaway, free shipping, buy 2 get 1 free, buy 1 get 1 free. There's so many offers that you can be testing there. Offers are a crucial factor that will make or break your sign up form performance. So always start by testing different offers to find what appeals most to your audience. The next most important thing to be testing in your sign up forms is your timing. So don't have this show up instantly on the website. That is the first thing I'll say about your sign-up forms. Test things that are different enough to be statistically significant. So a test of 8 seconds versus 10-second delay isn't significant enough. So try 6 seconds versus 20 seconds if doing it on time on page, or do page time versus percentage of page scrolled. So to shortcut this for you, all of our accounts are basically set at 8 to 10 seconds timing on mobile. So if you want a quick win here, go and adjust the timing of your pop-up to 8 to 10 seconds and you're likely going to find a winner. With your sign-up forms, you also want to be testing design. So while the offer is the main driver, design still plays a supporting role in getting those sign-ups. You want your form to be visually appealing without distracting from the goal of getting that email. So what can you actually test? Well, you can test your call to action button design, your form location, the visual hierarchy of your form, the imagery used, so you can do product versus lifestyle. You can even test your fonts and your color schemes, making sure that you're staying in line with your brand. And a key tip here is to keep the design clean and focused on the offer. Simplicity usually converts better, but testing will help you find the right balance for your audience. And as a bonus to you for getting this far into the video, I just wanted to give you a one-off test that is worthwhile implementing in your sign-up forms, and that is the micro commitment. A micro commitment is a small, low-effort action a consumer takes before giving their email, like answering a quick question or clicking a simple checkbox. It works because once someone takes the initial action, they're more likely to complete the next step. So you've maybe heard of the saying, in for a penny, in for a pound. This small interaction builds a sense of engagement and investment. So clicking a button is much easier than handing over your email. So once they've done that, then they're more likely to actually sign up and give their email over at that point. So here's some real world data from one of my clients that shows the massive impact adding a micro commitment can have on your conversion rate, where before there was no micro commitment and it was converting at a 5.79% submit rate, whereas with the micro commitment, it is almost doubled to 9.4%. And here's the exact design we've used, where we've asked them, would they like 10% off? First of all, before then asking for their email. Space Goods also is a great example of using the micro commitment in the pop-up to get them to answer, that question of would they like 10% off first, and then providing the email. Now that we've covered the most effective tests you can run, I want to quickly touch on where most brands mess up. They run A/B tests, but they never act on the results. I can't tell you how many times I've gone into an account and seen tests running for over 100 days without anyone declaring a winner. What a missed opportunity. So when you run a test, analyze the results, select a winner, and then use that data to fuel your next test. Don't just run tests for the sake of it either. Use what you've learned to keep optimizing. Let your results guide your strategy, whether it's the subject line, the design, or the offer. So for example, if you find that emojis in the subject lines lead to higher open rates, make that your standard evergreen approach for future emails. Once you find a winning strategy, test the next element, but you don't need to be running tests constantly. 1 or 2 tests a month is enough to keep things moving forward. So to recap, we've covered the basics of A/B testing, what to avoid, the key elements you should be testing to drive real results. And remember, A/B testing is all about intentionality. Don't just test for the sake of it, test to improve your email performance and ultimately your revenue. And hey, if you've been A/B testing, drop a comment below and let me know the most surprising result you've seen so far. So thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell to get notified about future videos. And if you want to learn more about Evergreen Media or how we can elevate your email marketing to drive serious sales, check out the link in the description below. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one.